Welcome to Black History Boot Camp. If you are a fast auntie, you are dancing to Money Ain't a Thing with us, with JB and the whole crew. Vanessa, are you there?
I am there. Hey, y'all.
Hey. Welcome to Black History Boot Camp. It's Black History Boot Camp, everybody. We are day, what is this, 18? 19?
That's right.
21? Day 19? Day 19 of Black History. 19. Is it 18? Day 18. Yep. Day 18. Carry 1, cross out the 2, multiply by 4. Day 18 of Black History Boot Camp. We're going to start with some hands raised with a trivia quiz on Black history and the such. But we're going to start with it. Okay, get ready. Get your phones ready. *9 if you know the answer. Do not ask ChatGPT. Do not Google. And do not ask the smart person in the room next to you. This is your trivia, your chance to be on the world stage. In order to raise your hand, you got to hit *9. And all right, tried and true producer Tyrene is going to let you in the line, okay? I'm going to ask 3 different questions. The first one is not about Black history. Today's theme is capitalism or comfort. Capitalism or comfort. All right. The first question is this. We started with Jay-Z, money ain't a thing, but we know money is a thing. And I just want to know, can you name 3, just 3, there's about 10, 3 of the 10 richest people who ever lived on the planet Earth, okay? 3, if you can name 3 of the richest people. You can take a guess, you don't got to be right, but you got to take a try. Raise your hand, *9. Let's just pull in the first caller you get, Tyrene. Can you name 3 of the 10 wealthiest people who ever walked planet Earth?
Tyrene said somebody coming in right now. Dang, y'all good.
No. Okay, you there, sister? What's your name? Where you from? And give us the 3 of the wealthiest people who ever walked the earth.
I'm going to say, hey, this is Kimiko from Douglasville, Georgia. I'm going to say 3, the family names. Hey, Carnegie, Rockefeller, and Swift.
Boom! Wait, what's the last one?
Dang, that was good.
Carnegie, so Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rock, and Swift, as in Swift in Action.
I don't even know who Swift is. What's that?
Wait. The Swift family name, Swift. So they, and now I'm Googling for the first name, but I know those 3 names are the well, at least the ones that I learned. Carnegie.
Girl, Google it, educate us. Google it, educate us. No, I believe you. I believe you. This is community history right here. That's great.
Yes.
I believe you. Thank you so much. You win the prize. You win the honor. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. All right. Hang up the phone, sister. We got Georgia got 1 point on the board. I think she's from Georgia. Was she from Georgia, V?
Yeah, Douglasville.
She can quick knowledge. Douglasville. Rockefellers, I think, was steel. Carnegie was, I think, there's oil, steel, railroad, something. And then the other part, Swift, that she talked about, probably did some fake. Oh, no, I just made that up. All right, look it up. Y'all, here goes question number 2. Question number 2. You ready? *9 to raise your hand. It's like you back in class. You go redeem yourself. *9 to raise your hand. Question number 2. What year did Columbus discover America? What year did Columbus discover America? Y'all know, y'all remember that? Well, I don't know where we learned that. 5th grade, 9th grade, 12th grade.
I know it. I even got a song. It's kind of a trick question, but okay. Tyrese,
I know you know it. I know you know these questions. Okay, what's your name, sister? We got somebody on that. I was quick, y'all. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's the answer? When did Columbus discover America?
Oh, hi, sisters. Oh, my gosh. I'm so happy to be on this line. My name is Tasha. Oh, my gosh. My name is Tasha. Coffee Tasha out of Texas. And I am actually in Missouri now. I go back and forth, but I'm Smiles for Cupcakes on social media. And I just have to say that Columbus discovered America never. Ever did he discover America? Ever. That's the answer.
Ding. You got it.
I knew it. I was like, this is a good question.
Here's a trick question in Black History Boot Camp. Keeps it real. Thank you so much for that. Texas got 1 point on the board. Georgia got 1 point. Texas got 1 point on the board. Thank you so much. All right. Now, from a colonial perspective and colonial history perspective, when did Columbus allegedly discover America? Anybody know? Raise your hand. *9. 1 point for Texas, 1 point for Georgia. We love free thinkers. Black History Boot Camp, day 18, 2024. Trivia question. We got somebody on the line?
Yes. Yes.
All right, here we go. Okay, sister, what's your name? Where you from? And what's your answer?
Hi. My name is Gwendolyn Williams. I'm in Maplewood, New Jersey right now, and the answer is 1492.
Come on, 1492. 1 point on the board for Jersey. Thank you, Auntie, for calling in. I appreciate hearing your voice this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, wherever you are and wherever you listen to. Thank you so much for calling, Auntie. You got it absolutely right. And more importantly, you got a point on the board for Jersey, and I love you for that because I used to live in Jersey. All right, thank you so much, Auntie. Now, to go to the last question. Please get your state on the board. *9 to raise your hand. The last question. Across the continent of Africa, there were vast ancient empires. If you can name, I'm going to make it hard. If you can name 3 of the vast ancient empires across the whole continent of Africa, 3 of the ancient empires across the continent of Africa, press *9. This is a flex question. It's a flex question for the deep scholars.
It really is.
For the deep scholars. I think you can get it, B. I think you can get it. You done been to half of them.
I don't. I actually only got about 2 in my mind. So actually, I can't wait for somebody to come on with this answer because I don't know.
It's a hard one. I made it 3. I think I had to look this up myself. I'm just saying. All right. It might take a minute to get some people on the line. We're going to wait. If you're a teacher out there, shout out to you. You know what wait time is. Wait time is so you can let them think. Let them think. Formulate they words, they letters.
Kyrene said we got somebody.
Raise your hand, *9. If you,
she's on.
Oh, we got somebody. Come on, sister. Say your name, where you're from, and 3 empires, ancient African empires.
Because I love history like y'all. This is Kimiko again in Douglasville in Georgia. So,
I love you.
So I definitely, first empire came to my head was the Mali Empire, and I had to think about the others. I know it was the Kush and the Songhai, I believe is the 3rd empire that I can think of. Uh-oh, did I lose y'all?
Lost Morgan. One second.
No, I'm still here. You might have lost Morgan. Look, I didn't even know not one of those. Say them again because I was going to come in and say, I think you're right. Morgan's a history teacher, not me. And I'm like, wait, say those again? Say them again.
Okay, the Mali Empire, Mali, the Songhai.
Okay. Hold on 1 second because I'm getting ready to put Morgan on 3-way because this is old school. Hold on.
All right.
All right, y'all. When they say that Girl Chick is going to win a Pulitzer Prize or a Nobel Prize for this Black History Boot Camp, this is what they mean. We outside walking, we across continents. Morgan dropped technically, but she's on the line now. 3-way. All right.
Why is 3-way? I'm so happy. It feels like a different kind of call when I get 3-way in. I missed the whole answer. Can you tell me the answer again, sister?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I was saying, I don't know if you heard me. I love history just as you all do, and I love these boot camps that you're doing. It's so fantastic. And this is Kimiko again from Douglasville, Georgia. And I know the Mali Empire, hands down. Mali, Songhai, Songhai, and the Kush Empire were the 3 ancient empires that were wealthy and revered historically.
I'm through with the Kush Empire. That was a good one. And the song High, that was good. Thank you so much, Kanika, and for putting another point on the board for Georgia. Y'all gonna stop being shy. Kanika, like, I'm about to score all the points for Georgia, and I respect it when we go and head to head with Black history. Got to be enthusiastic and passionate about telling our own stories. Thank you so much for bringing all that energy on today's call. Listen, y'all, all across America, increasingly across the world, we have not thousands, not tens of thousands, but 1 million Black women who have said yes to something called Girl Trek, where we walk, talk, and solve problems together. Black History Boot Camp is how we do this. On occasion throughout the year, we study Black history in the form of a 21-day walking meditation, and we learn stuff. Today, y'all, we're trying to figure out if we get out there and get that capital, get that money, or if we seek comfort, in our lives and contentment in our lives. So capitalism or contentment, that's going to be what I'm going to pose for the community today. The reason I asked those 3 questions to start off with, Vanessa, is because the person that we are talking about today is the wealthiest man in history. And he ain't Rockefeller. He ain't, who did Apple? Who did the iPhone?
Steve Jobs.
He ain't Steve Jobs. He ain't Bill Gates. He ain't Carnegie. He ain't Vanderbilt. He is an African man, and he is the wealthiest man to ever walk the planet. That's number 1 that you need to know. Number 2 is seafaring men from his country, one dynasty before his father's dynasty, are reported to have left, part of the 3rd question, the Mali ancient African empire in ships loaded with gold, headed across the Atlantic in the 14th century, which is the 1300s, well before Christopher Columbus, looking for new land. Many scholars believe, actually the gentleman who wrote the book that came before Columbus, that those men, a fleet of 2,000 boats, reached Central America, and it is why the, the OPEC empire, all these different empires in Central and South America have ruins that are ancient ruins that look like African men and particularly African warriors. All right. So that's how I knitted all that together for us. The man's name is Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa, the word Mansa means king of kings or ruler. So everyone who came before him, his son and then brother who came after him were also called Mansa. His given name was Musa. His last family name was Kita. He was the ruler of the ancient Mali Empire. He is reported, with inflation rates, to have commanded a dazzling $300 billion during his reign, which is more than Carnegie, which is more than Rockefeller, which is more than all of the next 10 wealthiest people who ever walked the planet. Bill Gates, right? How, do tell Morgan, how did this man in the 1300s amass $300 billion? Now listen, y'all, there's a movie coming out about it soon. I can't wait for it. I've been waiting for this movie since I was a history teacher 20 years ago when that Jay-Z song first came out. Because shout out to the history department at South Atlanta High School, we used to talk about Mansa Musa, and we used to play this music out loud for the kids. We used to be like, Money Ain't a Thing was his theme song as he was going across the Sahara Desert. And all the kids loved it. We used to have a soundtrack for all the people. All right, so this is the story of none other than Mansa Musa. I think Michael B. Jordan is going to play him.
Oh, I can see it. And
in
fact, I think Ryan Coogler, who Michael B. Jordan worked with on the Creed films,
Black Panther,
is actually directing it. So they're such a good duo.
It's going to be so good. It's such a good story. So, y'all, what you need to know is that there were many ancient empires in or on the continent of Africa. I mean, many of you know the empire in Egypt, the ancient Egyptian empire. That might be one that comes easily to you. The sister who called in mentioned the Nubian or the Kush empire. That was in Sudan. We think about the Axum Empire that was in Ethiopia, and they were really known for bringing Christianity onto the continent, which is why they have all those underground churches. And I think to Ethiopia.
Just on a stopover.
Oh, me too. I went on a stopover too. I'm claiming it. So so that was the Axum Empire. And then if we go down south, we all watched Shaka Zulu as children. And for all the millennials and Gen Z people, if you haven't watched that scary movie Shaka Zulu, it's a part of your rite of passage. Go Netflix or wherever, find it. It's terrifying and long, but you gotta watch it. All right. So somebody needs to do that. Shaka Zulu was fine too. So Shaka Zulu, the Zulu Empire was an ancient empire. We had them all across the Congo Empire. Was a great empire. We talked about Nzinga and her empire. Then we move up to the west coast of Africa, where there were three major empires. The first one was the Ghana Empire. And if you ask anybody in Ghana, they swear they came from the ancient Hebrews that came from the line of Jesus and the 12 tribes that came on down to Ghana. Now, I got to laugh in my voice, not because they ain't right, but because it'd be hilarious to hear people talk about it. I just be like, y'all ain't got a lick of proof. Not a lick of proof. But by word of mouth, actually, and by oral history, people are like, they say it so matter of fact. They're like, what do you mean? Yeah. They're like, no. Some of the 12 tribes of Israel came to Ghana, and they started the Ghana Empire here. And I was like, okay. So it could be true. I don't know. Somebody find a resource, give it to me. So the Ghana Empire was the first, most powerful empire here, and it just encompassed modern day Ghana, but way vast lands all the way north to Burkina Faso, all the way over. All right, and then as the Ghana Empire started to wane, the Mali Empire took over the trade routes and all of the natural resources in West Africa. Now, when we're talking about the Mali Empire, we're talking about all the way from Gambia and the River Gambia to Senegal and the River Senegal, all the way up there, all the way to Mali, of course, the country of Mali, Niger, all the way up to Timbuktu and beyond. And Guinea, I think, was a part of it too. But all of that vast land in the Sahara Desert was the Mali Empire. And then our caller was right. When the Mali Empire waned, and the Songhai Empire came into power, and that has everything to do with Mansa Musa. So King Musa, or Mansa Musa, M-A-N-S-A, Mansa.
I have a friend named Songhai. Now I know where her name came from. We call her Sunny, but Songhai is her name.
Well, speaking of Sunny, I got some facts on that. When Mansa Musa came into the city of Cairo, and I will tell you how he got there, he single-handedly devalued gold in his one visit for 12 years because he brought so much gold with him. And when he came in with tens of thousands of soldiers and porters and enslaved people and wives and horses and camels and all kind of stuff. And he was looking great. He had a giant ebony stallion. He was like, they came in so glittery gold, Vanessa, that the leader then of Cairo said that he looked like the very sun in his glimmer. I was like, that is a cool historic quote. Yeah. He looked like the very African sun with his glimmer. And I was like, whoa, that just image. And when I think about 90s hip hop and Jay-Z and all them people, I just think about the audacity of thinking that you could just ride in like that and just be so gangster with it. So let me just tell you about it. He was the heir of the Mali Empire. So his family, uncles and great forefathers were a part of this kingdom, right? Of forming this kingdom and really bringing the religion of Islam into Africa through the Mali kingdom, because there were a lot of people who were practicing traditional religion, particularly in that part of the country in Gambia, Senegal, and Mali, traditional African religion, and they came in and established Islam as a predominant religion in Africa. All right, so lots and lots and lots of stuff happened. People could study the Mali Empire as a PhD. Like, so many things happened before Mansa Musa came on. But when Mansa Musa came on, his predecessor sent out a fleet of 200 people who were seafaring, as I mentioned before, and only a couple of boats came back. And they were like, the men who came before us found a great river in the ocean with this great current, and they got in the current and it pulled them in, and we don't know what happened to them. And they were like, so we came back. Like, we thought we saw something, but we came back, and like, but there is this great river. And they went in and we came out. We didn't want to go in. And so they came back and told Ibn, his name was Ibn, they told him this information. And he kind of got like modern day, gold fever, right? Where he was just like, oh my God, not modern day, but during gold rush. You know how people were reported to get gold fever? He kind of got obsessed with this idea of crossing this great Atlantic Ocean and discovering new worlds. So he was Mansa. He was the Mansa, the king of kings of the Mali Empire. But he decided himself to get on the boat. They loaded the boat with water, with food, with gold, and 2,000 men. 2,000 boats or 2,000 men, don't quote me on it, but a gang of people. And they got on the boat with the actual king and headed off for the new world. They didn't know what they were going to find, the new world. Well, his nephew, his name was Mansa, and he was like, all right, I guess I'm the ruler. He was like, I guess I'm the ruler of this thing. They didn't know if he was coming back. They didn't know what he was doing. So, kind of if you have the latitude of impermanence or like temporary leadership, you kind of want to go hard in the paint, right?
Right.
So that was how he started his rulership. And so what he did first was he did a campaign to ingratiate himself with the people. So one of the things he did is he went to, they had gold in the region of Mali. It was the most important asset they had was gold and salt. And one of the historians said that the weight of salt was equal to gold then, because you have to understand salt was livelihood. Then it was how we preserved food. It was how everything. So salt had its same weight as gold. So they had salt and gold in the Mali Empire. They were just so wealthy. The first thing he did is go to the gold miners, and he told them they had to convert to Islam. And they was like, what the hell we do? No, we ain't doing that. So they was like, nope. They was like, we are traditional. We have our own traditional religion and practices. We've been out here connected to the earth for millennia, and we're not adopting this new religion. They're like, we don't even know the religion. Our foremothers and foremothers and foremothers taught us how to worship and how to praise. And by the way, you're welcome, because that's how we're so connected to the earth, and that's how we can navigate these forests, and we can find gold reserves. And like, no, we're not doing it. So they staged what would now be called a boycott. They were just like, they threatened a boycott. They were like, if you force us to change our religion, we will no longer get gold for you.
Yeah.
Capitalism or contentment. Capitalism or contentment. Capitalism or contentment, right? And so Mansa Musa was like, this is not going to happen while my uncle is
all right.
I ain't about to have a boycott. So he smoothed it out, and the ways that he negotiated that with these men, where he allowed them obviously to worship and praise God in the ways they wanted to, and he acknowledged their power, gave him his vulnerability in that moment, and how he told the story and how he respected them, garnered such wide support of his leadership. They were like, he handled that. And they became more diligent working for him, right? He did the same thing. He went to all of the different principalities. Can you guess, Vanessa, how many cities there were in the Mali Empire?
No. I can't. A lot.
A wild guess. A wild guess.
1,000.
1,000 cities. No, there's only 400. There's 400 cities by the time he left in the Mali Empire. And do you know the most famous cities in the Mali Empire?
No.
Here's your clue. We talked about it during the Benjamin Banneker episode because I said he didn't just intuit that knowledge.
Oh, yes.
His father
He
came
from this place that was not Sierra Leone.
Nope. It was the first university.
Yeah.
It
Senegal?
was the first in the whole world. Nope. Starts with a T.
Timbuktu?
Yeah! Oh. 1 point for Washington, D.C. So Timbuktu was one of the 400 cities that he ruled in. In fact, he's the one who made Timbuktu famous because he brought world-class architects from like the Andalusian architects that were the Moors, the Black Moors who came from Kush and who came from Cairo and then went into Europe, and they built all those Islamic temples across Spain. I know you've been to Spain. All those beautiful mosques in Spain.
Yeah.
And so those mosques, he hired an architect to come and build one of the most, it's a World Heritage Site right now. It's built all out of mud. And it's this beautiful, just statuesque, gorgeous mosque that is still standing right this moment as we're talking from the 14th century. Because they knew how to use the earth and like rammed, and now everybody's using rammed earth thinking they done invented something. No,
right.
Mansa Musa was like, no, you ain't invented nothing. We did this in 1302 or whatever they was, right? So, so Timbuktu became the center of learning. All the scholars from all of the ancient empires came here. It became the center of Islam in Africa. It became the first university of ever. The most ancient libraries, and again, it's a World Heritage Site right now. So that was a part of his legacy. So this is what he did, Vanessa. He then went to all of the municipalities, all of like the what would be like the mayors, right? And he made good relationships with them. People just loved him. He was charismatic. He was responsible. He really figured out a taxation system where he could bring money. He controlled the resource of gold and salt meticulously, where it was all state owned. So when we talk about capitalism, like, is he a capitalist or does he believe in shared ownership of public resource? That's not capitalism at all. That's more like socialism or communism. But he was about that money. He was about that capital. He was about that bottom line. So when we talk about getting capital or we think about contentment, I want you to think about it in those terms. Do you pursue wealth, right?
Yeah.
And so he did all these cool things where he established trade routes, but the gold mines he kept in the forest, so nobody knew where they were, particularly foreign powers. And he relied on these men who do the forest to be able to navigate the forest, do the mining, and then bring it right out to the trade routes. And then he established trade routes all overland and on rivers, like the Senegambia River or all these rivers, right? And so it was just powerful, Vanessa. His empire grew and grew and grew and grew. So at the height of like all of this, and the other ruler never came back. They don't have it. Okay. I went deep down that rabbit hole.
I was gonna say, because this was the part of the story where I was trying to be like, where were they going? What was happening? Because at first I thought what you were saying is, which could have been happening because we don't know documented history, but I kind of felt like maybe they found paradise. That they were successful seafarers, and that like I'm saying, it's clearly more connected than we thought. So like even when you said they didn't come back, I'm like, at first it was like, did they not come back because they got captured, killed, this, that? But I'm like, no, they probably found something great and stayed.
It's exactly right. And directly across from, and I was saying Europe was in shambles at the time. If you look at the movie Gladiator 2 that just came out with Denzel Washington, promo that we ain't getting paid for, but somebody called Denzel.
I'm going to go see it tonight. I'm going to go see it tonight.
Go see it. It's about like just Europe and how Rome was just savage back in the day, like killing people and trading slaves and all kind of stuff. It was wild. So at this time, Mansa Musa was the wealthiest man who ever walked the earth, and his kingdom was powerful. And so
this reminds me, Morgan. Sorry, I have to interrupt and say this reminds me that one time my ex-father-in-law, God rest his soul, Willard. And you only know what you know, right? So I'm not even blaming Willard. But he was like, I love to travel to Europe because that's where history started. And he was just like, I mean,
that's where his written history started.
Okay,
That's where his history started.
Yeah.
But your history started in Tanzania, where the original human came
I could not even hold my tongue. I could not even hold my tongue. I was like, Willard.
That's your history. Do you know that? Do you know Lupita is from that original genotype?
I did. I saw that.
Of the original humans. Yeah, that makes sense because you're real pretty. All right, so let me continue with the story, y'all. So the other thing that you should know, Vanessa, about why I firmly believe, if I'm putting my chips down on whether or not West Africans were able to circumnavigate the globe and were able to get across the Atlantic Ocean, is not just the actual artifacts that are in Central America that look like Black people, or the same kind of building architecture, any of that, which are real facts. But the accounts when the men came back, it said they came across a great river. They used the word river. They had plenty of rivers. Right. And they went inside. And so I'm thinking it's the Amazon River. They came into the mouth of the Amazon.
Oh.
They came into the mouth of the Amazon River, and they went inland into Central America and Brazil.
This is obvious now. So we FaceTime and all this stuff we're doing. Those people, no, they obviously knew how to do it. It's like not even, they obviously knew. Yes.
It's obvious, yeah. So that's exciting. And here's a fun fact for you, a geographic fun fact that lets you know, like, the relationship between the Amazon River and where we are. Did you know that the Amazon rainforest is only able to thrive because of the Sahara Desert in Africa?
No.
Every year around this
break it
time,
down for me.
Every year around this time, if you've ever been to West Africa, any of the countries, there is something we call Hamilton, which is when literally the Sahara Desert sand comes into the air and blows over the Atlantic Ocean, and it just looks ashy. It just looks ashy, right? It would be in your eyes, all on your glass tables. It just look ashy. So Hamilton is now, right? And it's not Hamilton like Hamilton, but Hamilton with the R in it somewhere. All right. So, but when we take the salt from the Sahara Desert sand and then deposit it into the rainforest, ocean, or river and earth, it fortifies and provides the necessary nutrients for the Amazon forest to thrive. So I just have a little fact for you. So it's right over the ocean. So of course they made it. That's what we're going to go with. You can't prove us wrong. That's our history. It's Black History Boot Camp. So they made it, that dynasty. They seafaring people went over there and started a new world. They were the first people to discover, in quotes, the new world, but they really built community with the indigenous Mayans and Aztecs. That's what we're going with. All right. Mansa Musa's story, which is the most famous part of his story, Vanessa, he was seeking contentment. He had all the money in the world. We established $300 billion in today's standards, all the money in the world. He was really seeking alignment, contentment, just connection with what was greater. So he decided to go on a famous religious spiritual quest in the Muslim tradition called Hajj, right? And Hajj, for everyone who is Muslim on the phone, you understand it is a once-in-a-lifetime pilgrimage to Mecca. And Vanessa, I know you went to Mecca and Medina. Both of them play into this. Did you go to Medina?
I didn't go to Mecca.
Okay. You didn't?
I've gone to Jordan. I went to Petra, but I haven't gone to, because Mecca is in Saudi Arabia, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't been to Saudi Arabia.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he decides, Vanessa, that he's going to take the most fabulous Hajj ever taken in the history of Hajj, right? Vanessa, he gets all these camels. He gets all these soldiers. He gets all his diplomats. He gets all his royal court and entertainment. He gets his wife, and there's some other ones.
Yeah.
He gets his children. He gets his horses, and they set out. I mean, tens of thousands. There are reports that were 60,000 people who were traveling in his caravan, but tens of thousands. And he packed everything he needed, just like the Mansa before him in the seafaring voyage. He packed everything he needed, and he traveled over 4,000 miles by foot, camel, and horse. Vanessa, do you know? I was like, how far is 4,000 miles, first of all?
It's at least farther than the width of the United States, because that's only like 3,300 or something, like coast to coast.
That's New York. You're right. Oh, because you're on the rail board. That's good. From New York to Los Angeles is something like 2,500 miles, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, dang, you got to walk that whole way. Then you got to walk to Hawaii? I was just like, it's a lot, right? Mm-hmm. if you walked from like, I think it was like Beijing to Paris, that's like 4,000 miles. And I was just like, how is that possible that he walked up? Africa is huge. So just from Mali, his city in Mali, they stopped in Cairo for like 3 months, I think. And that's what I told you. Okay, let me back up. As they are traversing and caravanning across the Sahara Desert, you just imagine his camels and his horseback and the sleigh and he had the royal robes on and he had gold head to toe and they roll into. I mean, they was rolling, right? It was cold as hell at night in the Sahara Desert. It was hot in the daytime. In fact, there's a good story about, they documented this through griots. They brought griots with them, and which are African storytellers. And there's a story about his wife that she said she was so hot. They went to bed one night, and she said she was dreaming of a river. And she told him, and the next night she went to sleep. And when she went to sleep, he commanded that the people in his entourage go to a watering hole that was nearby. They built a trench in the middle of the Sahara Desert. They fortified it with something, packed earth or something, fortified it. And then they ushered over buckets of water, put it in the trench so that by the time his wife wakes up, she will open her eyes and see a river in the middle of the Sahara Desert. I said, if that ain't game, that's game for you. That's power. I'm just saying, y'all got to get y'all, man. I'm saying your life and stop fooling with these people. So he keeps caravanning over. He keeps every single city that he stops in. He's giving away gold. He's talking to the dignitaries. He's praying with people, and people love him. Just the spectacle of it. They just love him, right? And plus, he's giving away gold. So his reputation precedes him. Parades of people are out waiting for this man in this 4,000-mile journey. He gets to Cairo, the gates of the city open in this ancient empire. He comes in. He meets with the leader of Cairo. I can't remember the name, what they call them. And they love each other. They drink coffee into the night. They become friends, right? They love each other. And they stay for 3 months. They're having such a good time. Cairo was such like an ancient, beautiful city. They're like, whoa, we're going to build our empire to just be complementary to this, and it was just like beautiful. Then they went on into Medina, right? And they crossed into Asia, first of all, across not the Suez, but whatever that river is, I don't know. They crossed into Asia, and then they went into Medina. And in Medina, they started getting themselves together to go to the holy city of Mecca. Well, in the holy city of Mecca, there is a giant pillar that is this black pillar that is, first of all, in Medina is where the prophet, the honorable prophet Muhammad, who is the most important figure in Islam, is buried. So it is a sacred city. So he was just overwhelmed with like emotions, the way that he described it, in being in the presence of like all of these people who for generations had been Islamic and Muslim, and he started learning from philosophers and studying the religion and becoming really devout. He gets to Mecca, Vanessa, and you got to go to the Kaaba, and you got to, there's all this ritual of prayer and kissing it, circle, all these things that people do in Hajj. And if you know more than I do, please call in and tell. So he goes there, and he has such a transformational experience, Vanessa. That he feels like he just really doesn't even, he's like, my son could just take over the Mali Empire. I want to just study. I want to worship, study.
Oh my God.
I just want to be immersed in this spiritual experience. It's not unlike what happened to Malcolm X. Malcolm X was just consumed with injustice in America, and he came over and he described being with his brothers in worship. He dressed in all white. Mansa Musa is described as wearing these beautiful white robes, and there would be people who, like from other countries, who were just like trying to, along the way, trying to like pick fights, and he was like a peacemaker. And even his name, Musa, is the translation of the word Moses. So Musa is Moses in Mandinka language. And so I was just like, this is so exciting. So he goes there, and he wants to just immerse himself. He doesn't want to be involved in politics anymore. He doesn't want to be involved in making money, building empire. He just wants to worship Allah. And I just thought it was so beautiful. And he was like, my son has been holding it down in the kingdom. I think he could do it just like I did it. And I think I'm just going to stay here. So he started surrounding himself with scholars of the Quran and philosophers and poets and all of these, y'all, capitalism or contentment, all of these people who are making his life rich. And then he got word that his kingdom wasn't doing so well, Vanessa, and that in fact the Songhai kingdom, there were raids that were coming in, and his young son, and he had gotten so much notoriety that one of the earliest global maps that came out of Europe, I think it was like 13, don't give me the last 62, something like that, marked the Mali Empire with like gold all in it. It's just like they put him on he put Africa on the actual map, right? There's a lot of questions about Mansa Musa, and this is, I'll wind this up. There's a lot of questions around what was his role like in the transatlantic slave trade, because he had slaves. When they would conquer people, they would take people as workers. Slaves were more like indentured servants then, where they had jobs. They weren't working on vast plantations on like with just manual labor. People had jobs, and it's like, who is your boss, essentially? It was more kind of like that, where it was, you had a boss, you had a slave, you had somebody who you had conquered, who you brought in as your slave, and then they could buy their way to freedom. Now, I don't think any slavery is good, not even biblical slavery. I don't think no slavery is good. But I was really curious as to if Mansa Musa had an effect on the transatlantic slave trade that brought so many of our ancestors through the most horrific journey across the Atlantic Ocean into chattel slavery, where we could never leave, and our very faces became degradation, and like race became like a yoke that we had to carry for 400 years. I wondered if he had anything to do with it. And there's some skepticism around.
You'd be wondering, Morgan. That's how your brain be like, let me get into this.
No, I love it. That's one of the reasons I love it.
I know. I love how you just and say you broke it down. That's good. You broke it down.
I just really do wonder. And there's a lot of people who say absolutely not. There was no conception of slavery in the way that the Europeans enslaved and brutalized African people. There was no conception of that. Like in the ancient African kingdoms, I have a more moderate, probably interpretation of history. One of the things that I believe is that Mansa Musa made known to the world the vast natural resources of Africa. So he gave gold fever to all of Europe. And so all of the missionaries who came down into Angola, which was another ancient empire, who came into Ghana, who came all over, were looking for those stores of gold that was reported from the wealthiest man who ever walked the earth, Mansa Musa. They were looking for it. It became this fever-pitched search for the salt mines, for the gold mines, for the rubber plantation, for the coal mines, all of the things that make Africa wealthy. And so there's a story of he was like interfacing with European monarchs or leaders or whatever, and they were like asking about the source of the gold. And he said he would make up these stories that the gold grows from a certain particular bush, and it's magical people who have spiritual powers, and only they can harvest the gold. And if you try to harvest it, it will all die, and they will cast a spell on you. And it's just like, he was like, and done your business. I'm not telling you where the mines are. And he just said he would refuse to tell them the location of the mine. So my kind of thesis is that he made Africa, the optics of Africa seem so alluring that the colonizers wanted to come, learn from Timbuktu, learn astronomy, learn science, math, all the things that came from Cairo, Kush, and Timbuktu, the Mali Empire, but also to claim those resources. So if anything, you can say that maybe he had an effect in that way. But this was a whole 100 years before the transatlantic slave trade started in Angola. So that's my story for today, Vanessa. He came back on his way. Yeah, on his way back, his son had lost some of the grip of power. People were trying to take over Timbuktu. People were trying to take over, I think it's called Goa. It's another city. He came in there with his black horse, like riding in and commanded the respect. Oh, there was a cool story. When he got to Cairo, it is customary. Sorry, somebody's calling. It is customary that Mansa Musa would have to bow and kiss the feet of the leader of Cairo, right? And he was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. He was like, I lead the biggest empire in all the continents. Like, I know this old school, but I'm not going to be able to do that. So there was this like fierce standoff, right? And he was a diplomat. So what he decided to do is he said, I only worship Allah. And he said, but I will worship Allah in your presence. And he got down on his mat and he kissed the ground facing east and prayed to Allah, worshiped Allah. But the optics of it from the audience is that he's kissing the feet of the man. And so it was this kind of beautiful win-win moment where this man got to keep his dignity, but Mansa Musa got to keep his principle that I just really loved. And then on his way back, he stopped in the first city. He came in commanded with a commanding presence. He was able to stop the invasion, and then he came into Timbuktu. That's when he built the famous mosque that is still there today. And then he made his way back, and by the time he got back, his son was in power, and he properly set his son up for power. He passed away like in his late 50s, which was pretty old for the time. It was nothing tragic. And his son took over for a couple of years, and then his, I think, uncle or cousin or another family member took over after that. So that is the story of Mansa Musa. I cannot wait for the movie to come out.
Oh my God,
thank
that's
you
so
so much
good.
for joining us for Black History Boot Camp today.
I was going to tell you something.
Okay. Oh, okay. You can tell us. We all think.
No. It's an idea I have, but no. Sometimes, no. I just have my review. I got to write down.
Okay, we don't implement on the idea. Y'all don't experience it. Okay. So I wanted to leave, Vanessa, with saying a couple of things. One is that make sure you find balance in your life, doing well, and really finding deep contentment in your life. Finding, I was talking to one of our team members today. Her name is Angie, and we were saying, like, thinking about your labor in terms of joy and thinking about your labor in terms of justice. And it is just that we get the kind of compensation that we've worked for all these years, that we can own homes. And so while I say, like, think about your labor or your pastime or your life mission in terms of justice, for sure, accumulate wealth for your family as an act of justice, but don't do it at the expense of joy. Joy has to be an equal counterbalance. Contentment has to be an equal counterbalance. And it is an important lesson as we go into Black Friday, where so many people are going into debt. If you were looking for a sign or a clue that you do not need to overspend this holiday season, consider this one. Consider that Mansa Musa had all the money in the world, and that at the end of the day, he wanted to love his people and love his God, and learn and delight in the ideas of life, and wanted to give away the power and the prestige and the gold, because there was nothing in that for him anymore. But that's after he built streets. That's after he built an education system. That's after he built knowledge. So it is a balance. I loved his story. It's a balance between the two of them. So that's kind of what I
love it. That was so good. That was so good. Thank you for sharing that.
Aww.
I didn't really know anything except he was riding in on that ebony stallion. Honest to God, like, I got that part of the story, and that he had a lot of money, but I didn't know more.
What you're grateful for. We're going to end with more money, more problems, because sometimes when you get what you think you want, it don't be really what you want, y'all. Just pay attention to when you wake up, your body feels alive, and when you feel joy in your life and your body. All right, y'all. We'll talk to you all soon. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.